this talk, I want to explore some of the dimensions and filters through which I'd invite you to analyze media consumption for constructive, okay, or destructive. So the first thing to look at is, I guess, using Stephen Covey's metric of urgent and important, important but not urgent. And this involves identifying useful skills that you're going to be dealing with. For example, as a landscape designer, when I start to get to know a new client that may be a new job, there's typically between 2 and 20% of any given job that's a little bit outside the ordinary. Maybe it's an enormous gate that needs to be painted and that gets a lot of damp sea air, and so there's a question of should it be powder coated, how would it be transported, that kind of thing. And identifying those problems that are coming up, that if those, every project has this narrow area, and if it can successfully navigate through that narrow area, the rest is easy. And so getting those in the pipeline and knowledge that could be useful for that, I'll prioritize that, whether it's YouTube, books, calling up random suppliers and saying, have you ever dealt with this kind of situation? Who would you talk to? Identifying lists of questions. So focusing on the key problems coming up, urgent and important, not urgent, but important, is useful media. Another thing that I would look at is there an exchange going on, or is it completely passive? Because I would say one of the most important distinctions to make in media consumption is it active, participatory, or is it vegetative, where it's basically numbing you and dissociating you because there's no relationship. Now, I put the news in that category most of the time because the response is, oh, isn't that terrible? And then that's it. It's not, I'm going to go and send some money to help that child. I'm going to find out who was damaged in that earthquake and do something about it. I'm going to get some earthquake preparedness, material. It's typically, oh, isn't that terrible? What's the world coming to? And go numb. So, but if you're someone that does use the news in that way of taking a positive step to bring some form of well-being to you and another person, then the news is highly productive. The same is true, and this is true with books, with YouTube, etc. So is there action in response? And here's a good filter. Basically, with any chapter or at the end of any media consumption, the question is there anything I can learn from this that I'm going to do something about today to improve things? And if there is, continue in that process. Another piece of assessing whether or not media is useful and productive is its priority in your life. So there's things that are really important to well-being, and there's things that are kind of escapism, fantasy, that would be fun. And it's good to just know the difference, because typically there's a little bit of a vicious circle that goes on, which is when we believe in what's important and we take action, then we learn about it, etc., and we believe some more. And achieving something really big and important starts to feel more and more imminent, and then it becomes more fun. More fun in a sense that it easily then starts to compete against other things. And here's what I mean. When I'm bored, when I'm not focused, when I'm just kind of filling in the spaces, all kinds of things feel like they're important or attractive because they rescue me from this inertia, like, oh, yeah, let's have an ice cream cone and go and do that. And let's do this. And, oh, that's an interesting cartoon as I'm meandering around. However, and also when I'm in this goal where it's like, oh, this feels so overwhelming, like, I'm never going to get that done. That is so much work and it's so tiring, and is that really going to work out? And I'm probably just going to look like an idiot. In that environment also where there's a big goal, but it feels unbelievably big and heavy and uncomfortable, small diversions seem very attractive. But when one is working constructively and efficiently towards a big goal, it is like, I don't have time for that ice cream cone. I've got this and this and this, and that's preparing for this, and this is really important. And we get absorbed in the flow. And media consumption that supports that flow is great. Media consumption that distracts from, for example, I just listened to a TED Talk on procrastination and thought a little bit about it and thought about what was getting procrastinated. And this video popped in, and there's so many things wrong with this video. The sound, the fact that I'm in a bathrobe, I wasn't sure I'd be able to get the lighting just right with my girlfriend in the room who doesn't like to be in the photo, and all that. All of this stuff can be distractions, but one of the reasons that I engaged immediately was I realized that if I just watched another TED Talk, I watched 450, I would get numb. And it would start to feel like there's just so many things to do out there, and I'm never going to get around to, let's just, tune that all out. Whereas when we take steps, even small and very imperfect steps, immediately to do something to engage, we start to believe that we can do things, we can achieve our goals, and we focus on them even more. I hope that helps, and I'd also be interested in hearing a couple of the ways that you filter useful media from non-useful media.